Hello guys, this is Sam coming to you from Michigan. It's a beautiful fall afternoon. Enjoying the good weather that we still have for now. So I thought I'd take advantage of that time to talk about my project car, 2007 Cadillac CTS-V. I've had this car for 3 years and I've done enough things I think to warrant a quick overview video. So let's get that started. Brief look at the interior. Nothing crazy different than a stock V1. However, there's a few subtle changes that I think are worth pointing out. So up front we have the stock seats. This one has been replaced though. I managed to find an old dealer stock. The previous driver did not really treat the seat well, so I think it deserved to have a brand new seat, and it's really a great thing to see. These are Lloyd mats that I've custom ordered. They match the vehicle very nicely. And for pedals, here's a pedal kit I've installed by Lingenfelter. It's for the V1 and I think it works great. Really nice grid pattern on the aluminum. It's really grippy. You have an extension on the accelerator pedal for heel toe. Very nice. So on the interior, front and center, we have a custom steering wheel. This is not the stock steering wheel. Stock steering wheel I think leaves much to be desired. This one doesn't. I've requested that the side be perforated leather, the top and bottom be smooth leather, with a custom V-color stitch work there. Absolutely beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I wish GM did, instead of just white stitching the steering wheel. I think this works great. On the topic of the steering wheel, the airbag, that's not the stock airbag. This is the STS-V airbag, and I think it looks so much better. It does not have the distracting crossed-hatched pattern. It has a 3D crest and wreath, and it works great. Love it. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. These are 2003 steering wheel cruise controls. Yes, they are functional, and I've made this custom bezel to fit them, and I did all the electrical work. It was not exactly straightforward, but in a way. And obviously the turn signal stock has to be switched to a different model, but these work, and you don't have the cruise control buttons here anymore. For some people this might not work. For me it works great, especially that I do a lot of long distance in this car, and a lot of times I would be holding the flat section of the steering wheel just like so, and I could enable and disable the cruise control and control the speed with my thumb, and I think this works fantastic. Really there isn't much a better option available. There isn't just enough space on the bezel for anything else, so that's what I had to do. And I guess we could do a little test. Definitely functional, I can tell you that. As for the head unit, it's still the stock head unit. I did insert a little phone mount into the DVD slot. I think it helps a lot. The phone stays put in there and it's right in front of your eyes, so I think at eye level is a good place to mount a phone. And there's a little bit more. I've installed the BT45VET Bluetooth module into the vehicle, and I think it works great. You can see there it's picked up my phone, and it works very well because it integrates the steering wheel controls. So when you control forward track and the previous track, it sends that command straight to your phone over Bluetooth, and it controls your media player. Also, calls work great thanks to a built-in microphone, and the phone calls obviously interrupt your media playing, and when your phone call ends, the media playing resumes, and you can end your phone call by pressing the previous button. And you can also press this knob, the right knob, to switch to a headset if you have a headset handy and you want to have a private conversation. Another bonus is the playback stops automatically if your car shuts down. So I think that's great. Your phone doesn't go ahead and keep playing. As soon as your car shuts down, your phone pauses. And if you press this button, you pause playback as well, which I think is great. A pause button is definitely a must. Armrest leaves much to be desired. It doesn't have a storage area, and it's very tiny. So this one, you could really rest your arm on it, and you get some storage. I've changed the leather on a base model armrest with a custom stitched piece that I've installed myself to match the leather in the car. I think it works wonders. This really changes things inside. And since we're here, you probably noticed that the cup holders look a bit different, and yes, they do. These are V3 or third generation CTS inserts for cup holders, and I think they look beautiful here, so I just had to have them. I swapped the fronts and the backs to these, and they definitely have little rubber pieces to prevent your drink from sliding, and an aluminum finish is just always a bonus in this car. Given the nature of the trim in this car, it's definitely a perfect match for it, as if GM was reading my mind. This is great. And let's not forget about the shift knob. So it's a bit hard for the camera to focus on it. There we go. So this is basically a small piece from the V2 knob that I've polished up a bit and gave it a nice silver look. And it's riding on a perforated leather handle. This closely mimics the Hurst ball shifter look, but it's more comfortable and definitely does not slide off your hand, just like on the steering wheel. A good grip. This also is a custom leather piece that I ordered and I've installed into the trim bezel. A lot of owners don't like the harder leather that is on the car. This one is a bit softer and doesn't give any resistance, so definitely I think is a great addition. On the topic of shifting, I've installed a year ago a Creative Steel adjustable throw shifter, and I really like it. I prefer it much better than the OEM shifter or some of the modified Hurst shifters I've seen out there. This car came with the modified Hurst shifter, but it lacks the adjustability that this has. You can adjust the height of the shifter, you can adjust the amount of throw you have. You can really find your happy medium with the shifter, and it opens you up also to being able to use either the 3/8 Hertz style shift knobs or to be able to use the OE knobs. And I have both adapters for the shifter, but I tend to use mostly the 3/8 adapter because it definitely opens up a lot of options. I'm not just stuck with factory knobs. But you saw a little bit earlier my custom knob that I made, but I've also made another custom knob based on an OEM knob. So here it is. So this is a V2 knob that has been modified to accept a 3/8 style bolt pattern. And there's the V2 knob installed. It's pretty hard for the camera to focus with all this light, but there you go. I think it looks good too. I equally like both knobs. Definitely enjoyed making both of them, and I've made quite a few more knobs. I tend to like the challenge of coming up with a different design. So in case of this one, I had to shorten up the knob a bit and allow it to accept the thread pattern and make adjustments so that I can take a trim piece down there. If I'm taking a very long trip, like 4 or 5 hours, I tend to enjoy using this knob more, mainly due to the smooth leather. It tends to be a little bit more slick. But for anything local, I tend to have this knob in the car. Definitely like the extra grip that this perforated leather allows you to have. So either way, they're both great. So maybe I'll dedicate a video later to shifting adjustment of the Creative Steel shifter some of the other modifications I've done in the shifting area, yeah, I think it definitely deserves its own video. So more on that later. Well, we're still in the interior space here. There's a lot to cover. If you move over to the left of the driver's side door, you notice that I have a bit of an extra button there that you won't notice that you have on your car. Well, this does something special, something that I really wanted. There you go. One more time. Yes, that is folding mirrors. Really wish that GM made this feature available from the factory, but I figured out how to get it done, and I'm very happy that I did. And if you guys want to hear more about that feature, maybe stay tuned for a future video. We're now shooting in the garage, where it's considerably darker here, and I wanted to show some of the other touches in the interior. I've replaced all the interior bulbs to 6K LEDs. The original halogen ones give the car a bit of a dated look, and the 6K LEDs definitely bring it up a notch, including the map lights, the vanities, mirror lights, and the door sills. And while we're here, I wanted to show also something else that might be of interest. The rear console. Now, at first sight, just looks like a normal rear console with a 12-volt plug. But the typical 12-volt console in the back just has a gap. Well, you see a slight bit of a gap, but it's for a different reason now. It's because this now has an ashtray. And for people not familiar with the first generation of the CTS, this might look like something simple, but I have not seen a single first generation CTS that has an ashtray in the back. This did not come with the car. I had to hunt for this part. I had to study a lot of databases to come to the conclusion that at some point this car was available with an ashtray. I don't know if there's maybe in other markets around the world or not, but in North America I could not find a single one that had it. So it's two pieces. You have the upper rear console and the actual ashtray itself. But this is really handy to have. Often would have a passenger in the back. It's like, oh, where should I throw this candy wrapper or something like that? And well, you can't do that in the net because, well, it'll just probably come out of there at some point. And there is no ashtray in the back. Well, now there is. So I think this is pretty unique. It's something silly to be excited about, but you know, when you need an ashtray, you need an ashtray, and sometimes you gotta fix things yourself. So yeah, as I said, the rear console has to be replaced for that to happen. But if you can find a rear ashtray, definitely get your hands on it. It's handy, much more than you think. So, yep, sometimes it's the small touches that makes a big difference in an interior. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Did you see one before or not? Put it down in the comments. And as a final touch to the interior, I replaced the gray tweeter grills with black ones from the 2003 model year. They might have been on the 2004 model year for a while, I think, but yeah. For some reason, GM went with gray ones on the inside, and I don't think they looked particularly well. These look much better, so yeah. Here's a site everybody's familiar with, a very traditional GM fob design and key. This is what everybody in the first generation CTS CTS-V has, and it's not exactly great, neither in range nor in practicality. So for the second generation CTS, GM stepped it up a little bit in quality, a much nicer remote. Unfortunately, it's not a direct replacement. You cannot program this to work on a first generation CTS, and it's still a bulky thing to have. This is from my 2008 Cadillac CTS, and not really been excited about having this. The aftermarket heard the cries of first generation CTS owners and provided us online with a VW modified fob. which has a blade that works. All you have to do is cut it. And if you have a tech tool like me, you can program it so that the remote works with the vehicle, and then you learn the RFID that is built in with the passkey system. What you end up with is a very compact remote. Has a side panic button there, unlock, trunk release, unlock, and it's really nice looking aesthetically. You will not find it with a V logo. That's something I did myself. Just to kind of complete the picture, this does look like it's factory.